All right. Sean, I'll start with you again on this just because you know Trump the best of all of us. What is he doing with Greenland? What is this actually about?
It's a great question, Mark. Here's the thing. I had Eric Prince on my podcast last week, and Eric was telling me that they actually were a lot closer to striking a deal with Greenland in the first term than any of us ever knew. I was not aware of that. But look, they believe strategically that this is very important, that Greenland actually would rather have the defenses of the United States strategically against between Russia and China, that it actually makes a ton of sense. And the more I've looked into this, initially I thought this was just another one of these Canada kind of jokes about becoming a state. There is a real strategic advantage to striking an alliance. And so whether or not we take it is very different than whether or not we come to some kind of strategic alliance with them, which I think is actually very possible.
Greenland is like Guam and it's like Okinawa. It's just a unique piece of real estate that has strategic for air and sea potentially. What do we have at that base? I'm sure we have planes. What do we have at the base in Greenland? Do we have any ships or subs?
I don't believe so.
All right, and
Uh,
how long has that base been there? How did we get a base on Greenland, Sean?
I don't actually. The funny part about it is I've been to Guam multiple times.
Yeah. But how did we
For
get the base on Greenland? Dan, do you
I
know
don't know.
how did we get that base on Greenland, Dan?
I don't know. I wonder if it's a World War II, era thing as a stopping point. I mean, to Sean's point, the best thing I've read is as more ice melts and the waterways to the north open up, where there are mineral deposits and the strategic nature of cutting through up there if there's a problem in Asia or whatnot. The one problem with all this is Denmark doesn't seem to want to give it up. So, and I have not seen Denmark. I
I'm
have
not
not read,
entirely sure.
yeah,
We'll
anything
see.
that says we're looking
We'll
for an
see.
alliance, but who
All
knows?
right. By the way,
What do
this
you
is interesting.
yeah.
I'm Wikipediaing as we go. It
Yeah.
used to be Thule Air Force Base. It's now a U.S. Space Force base located in the northwest of Greenland. Um,
It's only Space Force?
well, it was Air Force, and it
Yeah.
was transferred to the space, which technically is I mean, it's kind of like don't get upset with me,
Yeah.
Marine Corps folks, but it's
Yeah.
like the Marine Corps part
Yeah.
of the
Yeah, yeah.
Department of the Navy.
Does the
Um,
Air Force or the Space Force have ships?
no,
None. Not even support ships?
the Army does. I don't think the Air Force does.
Well, you don't know anything about what the Space Force says. You just think they have lasers like on a Warner Brothers cartoon. I think now that this might happen. I may be completely nuts, but my guess is, and I don't know if anybody's polled it, but I hope somebody does. If there's any pollsters on here, please throw it on your next survey. I bet you this tests very well. The notion of the
Oh, hold on. I'm
U.S.
going to answer your
Yeah,
question.
yeah, please
To
do.
assist with port operations, it is home to the only tugboat in the
I knew it.
Department of the Air Force. In the
I knew
summertime,
it.
a 70-foot one tugboat
I knew
escorts
it.
fuel tankers and cargo ships and aligns them with the pier and moves iceberg out of the way. The tugboat is also used for sightseeing tours in surrounding bays.
I would love a poll of the American public opinion about what's that called? Divine, what's it called? American expansionism, whatever
Oh,
that thing is
Manifest
called.
Destiny?
Manifest Destiny. I bet Americans would love this. It's my hunch, and I would love a poll of the people in Greenland because, like, I mean, no offense to Denmark, would they rather be part not just for security but culturally in terms of tourism? Like, we'll see. I bet Don Jr. sends back some great stuff. That's my
So maybe
prediction on it.
DC gets two senators and Greenland gets two
No,
senators.
No,
DC
no,
should
no. They
never
just
ever
become
have
a
two
they
senators.
become a protectorate or some
Okay,
Yeah.
like Puerto
something like
Rico.
But
that. Yeah.
in all seriousness, I
Well,
think
Puerto Rico's not a
that by
protectorate.
the end of Trump's first term, there is some sort of strategic alliance or greater military enhancement, and whether Guam's the right or American Samoa, because they're all a little different in terms of the relationship. But I wouldn't be surprised if it is somewhat of a protectorate.
Yeah. Yep. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you won't see this anywhere else. 201, please.
Ha ha ha. Iceland.
Greenland.
Greenland, sorry.
That's all right. Often confused. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. We come in peace. That's Don Jr. It's been reported that Charlie Kirk is with him. I bet there's some great cinematographers. So
Does
By the way,
Don
this
Jr.
goes back-
always get Dad's plane? Is
No,
that
I was going to say, no.
for a
This
trip like that, it's unusual. It's unusual.
Yeah, but this goes back to the point you were just making. There's a reason. They didn't just send him over there in some chartered plane. They wanted the Trump plane to land
Correct.
in Greenland.
Correct. This is all happening, folks. Get out your kayak app and start booking your flights now, because this is going to become a summer paradise. Forget Maine, forget Martha's Vineyard. We're all going to Greenland. All right.
right?
Mark.
But can I reflect on one thing that I think
Yes,
between
sir.
Greenland and Trudeau yesterday, this is unreal. I mean, like, we are talking about a president of the United States not in office right now who is having a profound impact on world events, the likes of which I don't think we've ever seen. Justin Trudeau resigned yesterday because Trump belittled him, right? And you have the folks in Greenland having to take a real discussion about whether or not we're going to annex or strategically align with them, or whatever you want to call it, because Trump sort of threw it out there in his Truth Social tweet. The power of this president cannot be overstated enough.
Yeah,
Well, and what's
or
happening in
understated,
Europe
really.
with Elon Musk kind of smacking around
Right.
the same thing.
This is another picture of Don Jr. And Sean Spicer will engage in some Kremlinology. It's fantastic. Donald Trump is now referring to this group of people as his reps. So he says, Don Jr. and my reps landing in Greenland. The reception has been great. They in the free world need blah, blah, blah. I don't have the whole thing here. Oh, they in the free world need safety, security, strength, and peace. This is a deal that must happen. MAGA, make Greenland great again. So, Sean, that's Don Jr. and Charlie Kirk and the White House political director, basically, James Blair. Who are the other two guys, Sean?
So from the right to left, that's James Blair, as you mentioned, Deputy White House Chief of Staff, incoming former political director, Charlie Kirk, Don in the tan coat, Sergio Gore, and next to him, who is the incoming White House
And a
Snell
very close
director.
friend, a very close friend of Don, and a publisher, book
And
publisher.
then
And who's
I'm trying to make out who the one next to Sergio is.
yeah.
By the way, they
so
all have
Don-
Trump Force One jackets on that look pretty good.
Yeah.
They're nice. Let's see if we can find an internet site to buy those. But that is a hardy group up there in Nuuk. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. As I say, we'll continue to cover this because it's really compelling, and I'm being bombarded with messages from folks saying, take this seriously. This is not.
Boy, I will say, Mark, if this is serious, I'll be curious what the Russians say. I can't imagine this would just go, sure,
Yeah.
here it is. Like,
Yeah,
people have equities.
I wonder, almost everybody in Greenland lives in urban areas. It's a lot of uninhabited land. You could
Oh, by
build
the
a lot
way,
of good stuff there.
You
Yes,
know,
sir.
the statement from the Prime Minister of Denmark just issued a statement, and this is what I think is interesting about the statement. She says, Greenland belongs to Greenlanders, not to Denmark, to Greenlanders. And I think that's fascinating because
Oh, that is.
that puts us back to the beginning of the conversation that we had about, hey, if Greenland says we would rather strategically align with the United States than Denmark, that's going to be fascinating. And if I were the Prime Minister of Denmark, I'd be a little bit more assertive about it's mine, it's ours, it's not yours.
Yeah. English is not one of the official languages there, although I'm sure there's lots of English spoken. I wonder what the cultural influence of the United States is like there. Like, how many times a day can you watch Friends on Greenland TV? That's really the question.